Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome to another Temple 420 Bible study. I'm Brother Chapin Walton, and I'm here today to go through another Bible study with you guys, further through Exodus and through the story of Moses and his interactions with the Pharaoh. I'll start us out here with a prayer for everybody watching, and we have good with this year. Dear Almighty Yahweh, thank you for the blessings you give us. You are the mighty one above all, one that created all. Thank you for the blessings you give us in this word. You give us to discern and understand, and give us lessons to learn, things to learn your ways, and the basis of how you have things set up, what you did for Israel, and what you do for us. Help those who hear these stories get information from your spirit to help enrich them to follow you. And blessed be those in attendance. Amen. Last week we left as it was going to go on into the where is it here? The plagues, and Moses was coming before Pharaoh. So Exodus 7. Get mine to show here. Thin with that. Get that looking better. Get more space. So I think that is exactly 7. Yeah, because this is where we start on the plagues, for sure. He was going through and asking him, and he refused to bring him. Send the Israelites on. So this is where we get more going on, where the plagues are in the Bible, and God demonstrates his power against the Israelite gods and shows them how he can go against them. Now he's superior. The master Yahuwah said to Moses, "See, I have made you like an Elohim to the Pharaoh, and your brother will be your prophet. You will say everything that I command you to say. Aaron, your brother, will speak to Pharaoh, so that you'll let the people of Israel go from his hands. But I will harden the Pharaoh's heart, and I will display many signs of my power, many wonders in the land of Egypt. But the Pharaoh will not listen to you. So I'll put my hand on Egypt and bring out my groups of fighting men, my people, the descendants of Israel, out of the land of Egypt in the great acts of punishment. The Egyptians will know that I am the master Yahuwah when I reach out to my land on Israel, on Egypt, and bring out the Israelites from among them." Moses and Aaron did so. They did just as the master Yahuwah commanded them. Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron was 83 years old when they spoke to Pharaoh. The master Yahuwah said to Moses and to Aaron, "When the Pharaoh says to you, 'Do a miracle,' then you'll say to Aaron, 'Take your staff and throw it down before Pharaoh, so that it may become a snake.'" And then Moses went to Pharaoh, and they did just as the master Yahuwah had commanded. Aaron threw down his staff before the Pharaoh and his servants, and it became a snake. Then Pharaoh called for his wise men and sorcerers. They did the same thing by their magic. Each man threw down his staff, and the staffs became snakes. But Aaron's snake Aaron's staff swallowed up their snakes. Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he did not listen, just as the master Yahuwah had foretold. The first plague. The master Yahuwah said to Moses, "The Pharaoh's heart is hard, and he refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning when he goes out to the water. Stand on the riverbank to meet him. Take your hand the staff that you had turned into a snake, and say to him, 'The master Yahuwah, the Elohim of Hebrews, has sent me to you to say, let my people go, so that they may worship me in the wilderness. Until now you have not listened.' The master Yahuwah says, 'By this you will know that I am the master Yahuwah. I'm going to strike the water of the Nile with the staff in my hand, and the river will be turned to blood. The fish that are in the river will die, and the river will stink. The Egyptians will not be able to drink from the river.' The master Yahuwah said to Moses, 'Say to Aaron, take your staff and reach out with your hand over the waters of Egypt, and over their rivers and streams and pools and all their ponds, so that they may become blood. Do this so that there'll be blood throughout the land of Egypt, even in the containers of wood and stone.' Moses and Aaron did as the master Yahuwah commanded. Aaron raised his staff and struck the water in the sight of Pharaoh and his servants. All the water in the river turned to blood. The fish in the river died, and the river began to stink. The Egyptians could not drink from the water, and the blood was everywhere in the land of Egypt. But the magicians of Egypt did the same thing with their magic. So Pharaoh was hard-hearted, and he refused to listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the master Yahuwah said he would. Then Pharaoh turned to and went into his house, and he did not pay attention to this. All the Egyptians dug around the river for water to drink, but they could not find water of the river itself. 7 days passed after the master Yahuwah had attacked the river. This was a show too of Yahweh and direct opposition to Hapi and Osiris, because they were the gods of the Nile, and to show that he had control over the Nile. The second plague, the frogs. Then the master Yahuwah said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh and tell him, the master Yahuwah says, let my people go so that they may worship me. If you refuse to let them go, I will afflict all your country with frogs. The river will swim with frogs. They'll come up and go to in your house, in your bedroom, in your bed. They will go in your servants' houses. They will go onto your people, into your ovens, and into your kneading bowls. The frogs will attack you, your people, and your servants." The master Yahuwah said to Aaron, "Reach out your hand and your staff over the rivers and the streams and the pools, and bring the frogs up over the land of Egypt." Aaron reached out his hand over Egypt's water, and the frogs came up and covered the land. But the magicians did the same thing with their magic. They brought frogs all over the land of Egypt. Then when Pharaoh called to Moses and said, "Pray to the master Yahuwah for him to take away the frogs from me and my people. Then I will let the people go, so that they may sacrifice to him." Moses said to the Pharaoh, "You can have the privilege of telling me when I should pray for you, your servants, and your people, so the frogs may be removed from your land and your houses, and only stay in the river." Pharaoh said, "Tomorrow." Moses said, "Let it be as you say, that you may know that there is no one like the master Yahuwah, our Elohim. The frogs will go from you, your houses, your servants, and your people. They will stay only in the river." Moses went out from the Pharaoh, and Moses cried out to the master Yahuwah concerning the frogs that he had brought on Pharaoh. And the master Yahuwah did as Moses asked, and the frogs died in the houses, courts, and fields. The people gathered them together in heaps, and the land stank. But the Pharaoh saw it was a relief, and he hardened his heart and did not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the master Yahuwah said that he would do. According to some of the stuff I saw here too, it said this was actually an opposition to a god named Hequet, which was the goddess of fertility, which was depicted as a woman with the head of a frog. So to show that they didn't have control and their frogs weren't as friendly as they expected they would. The third plague was gnats. The master Yahuwah says to Moses, say to Aaron, reach out your staff and strike the dust on the ground so that it may become gnats throughout the land of Egypt. So they did. Aaron reached out his hand and his staff and struck the ground, and gnats came into man and beast, and all the dust of the ground became gnats through the whole land of Egypt. The magicians tried with their magic to produce gnats, but they could not. The gnats were all on man and beast. When the magicians said to Pharaoh, this is the finger of Elohim, but Pharaoh's heart was hardened, so he refused to listen. It was just as the master Yahuwah had said. So in this one, the gnats could not even be produced by the wizards. All the other plagues, the wizards were able to do and simulate similarly, or give them the illusion that this same kind of thing was happening. This one, they actually attested and said, hey, Pharaoh, that's a god. That's the finger of Elohim. The fourth plague, the flies. The master Yahuwah said to Moses, get up early in the morning and stand in front of Pharaoh as he goes out to the river. Say to him, the master Yahuwah says this, let my people go so that they may worship me. But if you do not let my people go, I will send swarms of flies, your servants and your people, into your houses. Your Egyptian houses will be full of swarms of flies, and even on the ground they stand in will be full of flies. But on that day, I will treat the land of Goshen differently, in the land which my people are living, so that no flies will be there. This will happen so that you may know I am the master Yahuwah in the midst of the land, and I'll make distinction between my people and your people. The sign of my power will take place tomorrow. So the master Yahuwah did, and thick swarms of flies came into Pharaoh's house and to his servants' houses and to the whole land of Egypt. The land was ruined because of their swarms of flies. Pharaoh called out to Moses and Aaron and said, go sacrifice for your Elohim in your own land. Moses said, it is not rightful for us to do so, for the sacrifices we make to Yahuwah, our Elohim, are something disgusting to the Egyptians. If we make sacrifices right before their eyes that are disgusting to the Egyptians, will they not stone us? No, it is a 3 days journey into the wilderness that we must make in order to sacrifice to the master Yahuwah, our Elohim, as he's commanded us. Pharaoh said, I will not allow you to go sacrifice to the master Yahuwah, your Elohim, in the wilderness. You must not go very far away. Pray for me. Moses said, as soon as I go out from you, I will pray the master Yahuwah that the swarm of flies leave you, Pharaoh, and your servants and your people tomorrow. But you must not deal deceitfully anymore by not letting our people go sacrifice to the master Yahuwah. Moses went out from the Pharaoh and the master Yahuwah. The master Yahuwah did as Moses asked, and he removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, his servants, and his people. Not one remained, but Pharaoh's heart hardened this time also, and he did not let the people go. The information I researched on this one said that swarms of flies actually represented the goat Chapin, who was associated with creation and rebirth, and often was depicted with a fly or a beetle, and it challenged the fact that he could promote and protect life, since they had all those flies come in and ruin it. It was apparently not that God that had any control over Egypt. The fifth plague is the Egyptian livestock god. But then the master Yahuwah said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh and tell him, the master Yahuwah, the Elohim of the Hebrews, says, let my people go so that they may worship me. But if you refuse to let them go and you still keep them back, then the master Yahuwah's hands will be on the cattle and the fields and the horses and the donkeys and the camels, the herds and the flocks, and it will cause a terrible disease. The master Yahuwah will treat Israel's cattle and Egypt's cattle differently. No animal that belongs to Israelites will die. The master Yahuwah has a fixed time," he said, "and it is tomorrow I'll do this thing in the land." The master Yahuwah did this the very next day, and all the camel of Egypt died, but none of the Israelites' animals died, not one animal. Pharaoh investigated, and behold, not one animal of the Israelites died, but his heart was stubborn, so he did not let the people go. This plague was in direct opposition towards some Egyptian gods like Hathor and Apis, who were associated with the livestock. I know I've seen Apis before. He's kind of the man bull thing that's standing upright, and he represents strength and fertility. And Hathor is a goddess of love and protection, sometimes depicted as a cow. The sixth plague is boils. Then the master Yahuwah said to Moses and Aaron, "Take some handfuls of ashes from a kiln. You, Moses, must throw the ashes up in the air while the Pharaoh is watching, and then they will come like fine dust all over the land of Egypt. They will cause blisters and sores to break out on the people and animals throughout Egypt." So Moses and Aaron took ashes from a kiln and stood in front of Pharaoh. And when Moses threw the ashes up in the air, the ashes caused blisters and sores to break out on the people and animals. The magicians could not resist Moses because of the blisters that were on them and all the other Egyptians. The master Yahuwah hardened Pharaoh's heart so the Pharaoh did not listen to Moses and Aaron. This was just as the master Yahuwah had said that Moses and the Pharaoh would do. The boils were in opposition to some of their goddesses like Isis, who would have been associated with healing and keeping them protected and cured. She didn't do anything in this. They continued to have the boils. For doing terrible with us there. The seventh plague with the hail. When the master Yahuwah said to Moses, "Get up in the morning and stand in front of the Pharaoh and say to him, the master Yahuwah, the Elohim of the Hebrews says, let my people go so that they may worship me. For this time I will send all of my plagues on you myself, and you and your servants of your people. I will do this so that you may know there was no one like me in all of the earth. By now I could have reached out with my hand and attacked you and your people with disease, and you would have been eradicated from the land. But it was this reason I allowed you to survive, in order to show you my power, so that my name may become proclaimed through all of the earth. You are lifting yourself up against my people by not letting them go. Listen, tomorrow about this time I'll bring a very strong hailstorm, such as not been seen in Egypt since the day it was begun until now. Now then, send men and gather your cattle, everything you have in the fields, to a safe place. Every man and animal that's in the field and not brought home, the hail will come down on them and they will die. Then those of the Pharaoh's servants who believed in the master Yahuwah's message hurried and brought their slaves and cattle into the house. But those who did not take the master Yahuwah's message seriously left their cattle in the fields. Then the master Yahuwah said to Moses, Reach out with your hand to the sky so that there'll be hail in the land of Egypt, on the people, on the animals, and the plants in the fields through Egypt. Moses reached out with his staff in the sky, and the master Yahuwah sent thunder, hail, and lightning to the ground. It also rained hail in the land of Egypt, so there were light hail and lightning mixed with hail, very severe. Such had not been brought on the land of Egypt since it had become a nation. Throughout all the land of Egypt, the hail struck everything in the fields, both the people and the animals. It struck every plant in the field and broke every tree. Only in the land of Goshen, where the Israelites lived, there was no hail. Then the Pharaoh sent the men to summon Moses and Aaron. And then he said to themselves, I have sinned this time. The master Yahuwah is righteous, and my people are wicked. Pray to the master Yahuwah, because the mighty thunderbolts and hails are too much. I will let you go, and I will let you stay here no longer. Moses said to him, As soon as I leave the city, I will spread my hands out to the master Yahuwah. The thunder will stop, and there'll be no more hail. In this you'll know that the earth belongs to the master Yahuwah. But for you and your servants, I know that you really do not yet honor the master Yahuwah, Elohim. Now the flax and the barley were ruined, and the barley was maturing in the ear, and the flax was in bloom. But the wheat and the spelt were not harmed because they were the later crops. Then Moses had left Pharaoh in the city and spread his hands out to the master Yahuwah. The thunder and hail had stopped, and the rain came down no more. Then the Pharaoh saw that the rain and hail had ceased, and he'd sinned again and hardened his heart. Therefore, together with his servants, the Pharaoh's heart was hardened, so he did not let the people of Israel go. This was the way that the master Yahuwah said that Moses would act, or that Pharaoh would act. The hail and lightning was direct opposition towards Seth and Osiris, because I think it was, let me see here, to a bit there, because the hail was actually hail, Nut and Seth. The god Nut was the sky goddess, and Seth was the god of storm and disorder. So it showed that they were not able to be controlling in the heavens, and that the Egyptians were not getting anything from them. God was directly opposing them and showing that he was much better than them. The eighth plague, the locusts. Master Yahuwah said to Moses, Go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his servants. I have done this to show the signs of my power among them, to keep showing them that they can take out each one of their gods and show that they have no power. I have done this so that you can tell my children and grandchildren the things that I have done, and how harshly I treated Egypt, and how I've given various signs of my power among them. In this way you will know that I am the master Yahuwah. So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said to him, The master Yahuwah, the Elohim of the Hebrews, says this, How long can you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go so that they may worship me. But if you refuse to let my people go, listen, tomorrow I'll bring locusts into your land. They will cover the surface of the ground so that no one will be able to see the earth, and they'll eat the remains of anything that escaped from the hail. They will also eat the trees that grow for your fields, and they will fill your houses, those of all your servants and the Egyptians. Something neither your father or grandfather ever saw. Nothing that's ever been since the day that they were on the earth to this present day. Then Moses left out and went from the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh's servants said to him, "How long will this man be a menace to us? Let the Israelites go so they may worship their master Yahuwah, their Elohim. Do you not realize yet that Egypt is destroyed?" Moses and Aaron were brought again to the Pharaoh who said to them, "Go and worship your master Yahuwah, your Elohim. But what people will go?" Moses said, "We will go with our young and our old, our sons and our daughters. We'll go with our flocks and our herds, so that we may hold a festival for the master Yahuwah." Pharaoh said to them, "May the master Yahuwah indeed be with you, but if you go there with your little ones, look, you have some evil in mind. No, just go the men among you and worship the master Yahuwah, for that's what you want." Then Moses and Aaron were driven out of the Pharaoh's presence. Then the master Yahuwah said to Moses, "Reach out your hand over Egypt to the locusts, so that they may attack the land, and Egypt may eat of every plant in it, and everything that the hail has left." Moses reached out with his hand and staff over the land of Egypt. The master Yahuwah brought out an east wind over the land that day and night. When it was morning and the east wind had brought the locusts went through the land and infested all parts of it. Never before had there been such a swarm of locusts in the land, and nothing like this to come after it. They covered the surfaces of the whole land so that it was darkened, and they ate every plant in the land and all of the fruit trees that had the hail had left. Throughout the land of Egypt, no living green plant remained in the fields. The Pharaoh quickly summoned Moses and said, "I had sinned against the master Yahuwah, your Elohim, and against you. Now then, forgive my sins this time, and pray to the master Yahuwah, your Elohim, that he will take this death away from me." So Moses went out from the Pharaoh and prayed to the master Yahuwah. But the master Yahuwah brought a very strong west wind and picked up the locusts and drove them into the sea of reeds. Not a single locust remained on the territory of Egypt. But the master Yahuwah hardened Pharaoh's heart, and the Pharaoh did not let the Israelites go. The ninth plague, darkness. Then the master Yahuwah said to Moses, "Reach out with your hand towards the sky, so that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, so darkness may be felt." Moses reached his hand out toward the sky, and there was a thick darkness all over the land of Egypt for 3 days. No one could see anything else. No one left his home for 3 days. However, the Israelites had light in the place where they lived. And the Pharaoh summoned Moses and said, "Go worship the master Yahuwah. Even your families may go with you, but your flocks and herds must remain behind." But Moses said, "You must also give us animals for sacrifice and burnt offerings, so we may sacrifice them to our master Yahuwah, our Elohim. Our cattle must go with us, not a hoof of them will be left behind. We must take them to worship the master Yahuwah, our Elohim, for we do not know with what must worship the master Yahuwah until we arrive there." But then the master Yahuwah hardened the Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. The Pharaoh said to Moses, "Go from me. Be careful about one thing, that you do not see me again. For in the day you will see my face, you will die." Moses said to yourself, "You have spoken. I will not see your face again." And the 1-2 here where we had the locust, that's where it was here too, against Seth and Osiris. Seth was the god of storms and disorder, as well as Osiris was the god of crops and fertility. And that devastation that they had there with the locust showed that their gods could not do anything against Yahuwah. That Yahweh, Yahuwah, is much better than their gods with that. And then with the darkness, it's usually interpreted as a challenge to Ra, because Ra was the sun god who ran the sun and kept light over Egypt. And the God of Israel, Yahuwah, showed that he couldn't do that, that it was nothing that Ra had control over. The final plague threatened. Then the master Yahuwah said to Moses, "There is still one more plague that I will bring to the Pharaoh in Egypt. After that, he will let you go from here. When he finally lets you go, he will drive you away completely. Instruct the people that every man and woman is to ask of her neighbor for articles of silver and articles of gold." Now the master Yahuwah had made the Egyptians eager to please the Israelites, for the man Moses was impressive at the sight of the Pharaoh's servants and at the people of Egypt. Moses said, "The master Yahuwah says this, about midnight I will go into Egypt. All the firstborn of Egypt will die, and the firstborn of the Pharaoh who sits on his throne, the firstborn of the slave girl who is behind the handmill grinding it, and to all the firstborn of the cattle. There will be a great wailing through all the land of Egypt, as has never been seen again. There will not even be a dog bark against any of the people of Israel, either man or beast. In this way, you'll know I'm treating the Egyptians and Israelites differently. All of these servants of yours, Pharaoh will come down to me and bow to me. They will say, 'Go,' and all of you people will follow after you. After that, I will go out." And then he went from the Pharaoh in great anger. The master Yahuwah said to Moses, "Pharaoh will not listen to you. For this, I'll do many amazing things in the land of Egypt." Moses and Aaron did these wonders before the Pharaoh, but the master Yahuwah hardened the Pharaoh's hearts, and the Pharaoh did not let the people of Israel out of his land. I will stop here at this, as we're at 30 minutes, and I think it might take a little bit to go through the last plague and some of the importance over it, because it brings up the Passover and mirrors and shadows the Passover. That's an important time in Israel, and that's actually coming up for the year 2025 here shortly, if you're seeing this recently. I think it's one of the important seasons that they observe and that we should observe, but for some reason, a lot of people don't observe it. The modern Israelites and the ones who go off of the Israelite holy days do. And those are the ones I think are set aside to God and that really represent what he wants everybody to know and to get from him. Thank you, God, for everybody who came and attended and watched this. May they be encouraged to learn more about you and the ways that you are better than the other gods, that you show yourself, and that you are the God of gods, the one who is the Almighty, the one that's the creator of all creation. Thank you for all that you do and keeping us blessed. Amen. Thank you all for your attendance and have a great day. I think the music that I started out here, I'll actually play in a video to end. I talked about this being wet last week.
Cannabis, how can you smoke this? Cannabis, what strain is this? Taste it. Cannabis is the GOAT, psychological moat. Herb will make you float, it will bring you to coke. Cannabis makes rope, holy and burned by the Pope. Isn't just any smoke, it's a shadow of man's hope. Cannabis, how can you smoke this? How can you cannabis, what strain is this? A medicine for nations, physical covering for their sins. Comfort. Herb giving them grins, bringing forth healing and wins. Yes, we win. We win. Cannabis, cannabis. How can you not take care of your ECS? Cannabis, cannabis. For that regulation it does. Cannabis, how can you not take care of your ECS? Yes. Cannabis, cannabis. For that regulation it does best. What you doing out of the know? How'd you do expect to grow? Do you know anyone who makes that smoke blow? Is it even a topic in which you will go? Your endocrine system is a must know. 100%. Take some time and use your mind. Put some information in it when on your grind. Cannabis helps your body get together and regulate. It's known to calm down, bring to fellowship and friendly debate. Just a Cannabis, cannabis, don't you know it's a superfood? Essential fatty acids. Cannabis, cannabis, why many get many become improved. For real.
Cannabis, cannabis, hearing the name makes many becoming rude.
For real. Cannabis, you're in my garden and on my plate. The greatest herbal provision of the